What is going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Turnpike Titans podcast. I'm joined, as always, by my two co-hosts, Jarrett and Vinny. Before we start, because I'm realizing I've been doing this at the end, which does nobody any good typically. Before we get into this week's episode, no matter where you're listening, whether it be YouTube or on the podcast platforms, however you're listening, make sure you do us a favor if you're enjoying the show. Subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff. We want to build our family and we want to continue to grow. So we need your help to do that. And the simple stuff goes a long way for us. So make sure you do that, however you're listening, whether it be video form or podcast form. Help us as best as you can. With that being said, as I always do, I'm going to turn it to both of you to begin. Another defeat at the hands of the New England Patriots. In my opinion, this one you could argue is even uglier than Houston for a plethora of reasons. But let's hear what you guys have to say first. Jarrett, why don't you start us off?
Well, yesterday definitely was a blow. I mean, there was bright spots in the game, but looking at the whole game as it is, the first drive by the Patriots, they went down the field, with ease. Even with our offense, Tannehill started eight for eight. Everything looked promising, going into that game. The offense rushed for 270 yards. We're the only NFL team that has 200-yard rushers, which is ridiculous to even say with Henry out of the lineup. But, going into the game, it would have been 16-16 at a half. You take the 13-16 at half, everything was looking fine. But again, this team lacks pressure without David Long. The sacks are not there anymore right now. Thankfully for the bye week, but I don't know. This game was ugly from start to finish. Vin, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we've started to look like a shell of our former selves these last few weeks. But the silver lining in that is that it's for a reason. And I know we're all frustrated, and that's just human nature. And I thought yesterday was, much of the same. Even though it looked like we could keep it close, we all knew that we were not controlling that game at all. They were, and a few big plays, made it turn the other way. The fumbles, the interception, the missed field goals. This bye week couldn't come at a better time. But as far as yesterday, I guess at first I was a little feeling okay because it looked like we weren't laying down, we were fighting. But then in the second half, it kind of, after that interception in the end zone, I think we kind of gave up, so this bye week couldn't come at a better time. I think the fans need it as much as the players for our mental fucking well-being at the moment too. So, and then Bayard's got COVID and it's just like, Jesus Christ, when does it fucking stop? So, that's how I feel. Cousin Sal, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, so there was a lot of mixed emotions I had during after this game. I think this game was beyond winnable. And I thought we had an opportunity to put this game away in the second half, and we completely went away from what was working for us. I mean, you could argue that yesterday's rushing performance by Hilliard and Foreman was the most dominant rushing performance from starting whistle to finishing whistle of any Titan game ever. I mean, that you literally saw two guys getting 10 yards a carry on almost every single carry. Like, I mean, they were falling forwards for 4 or 5 yards. So I go back to the same specific event in the second half. We were down by 5 or 6.
Down by 5.
Yeah, and we're down by 5, and we're literally running it all over them. And we just decided to throw it 3 times with nobody to throw to. And we're like, you know what? We're getting something out of our team that we never imagined we were going to get against a pretty damn good defense, especially against the run. And we just said, fuck it. I don't give a shit. I'm going to throw it 3 times. A guy who's been struggling more than anything as in our quarterback, nonetheless. And we're going to run it. or I'm sorry, we're going to throw it and fuck it. So I'm very, very upset with Todd Downing this week. And I said this on Twitter earlier. It's really easy to be a coordinator from your couch. I get that. But this shit is so cut and dry. It's not even funny. Like it was so cut and dry. And I'm so tired of this team running when I want them to throw and throwing when I want them to run. It's just ridiculous. It's always ass backwards. And I'm done with it. So that I'm very upset with. Defense needs to do more. I'm sorry they took a step back. Could be tired. I get it. We need the bye week. Everyone's tired. Everyone's hurt. I get it. But it's a huge drop off from when we left LA.
Absolutely. But you know where it comes to effect with that is I was looking at the film too, just like you said you were. But Autry lining up on the outside with Bud Dupree not there, it's killing us. Autry and Simmons thrive inside with each other. We need Simmons back. I mean, we need Bud Dupree back and we need David Long back. So hopefully after this bye, everyone gets healthy. So we'll see what happens.
No, I agree.
Because there's no pressure. There's no turnovers. We had 9 turnovers the last 2 games on offense, and that's all Vrabel preaches.
And Byard was terrible. I mean, he was terrible. Let's just be honest. Jeffrey Simmons is doing his best, but he's not doesn't seem to be an X factor anymore. I'm sorry. Just is what it is. Maybe he's going to triple team, whatever. But he was out of his mind for like 4 straight weeks. And now he's just kind of doing enough to get by. In my opinion, don't crucify me. It's okay. We're going to be okay.
I don't want a certain someone coming to Jeffrey Simmons' defense.
No. We don't speak of trolls on this podcast. Real quick before we dive into another topic. I don't know how much longer I can defend Ryan Tannehill. I really don't know. I don't know. I mean, he's just so below average at this point, and I can't let him lean on the crutch anymore of the skill player he has around him. I get it, but he wasn't lighting anything up whenever he had the guys that we're used to seeing. You know, he was doing good enough, but he wasn't like, you know, we try to claim him to be a top quarterback in the league, and he's just not blowing anyone away. So I don't. 94 fucking yards, guys. I mean, what NFL quarterback is throwing 90? I don't even think Jared Goff is throwing 94 yards if he was our quarterback yesterday. I really don't. I don't think so. I don't think Trevor Lawrence is. I don't think Tua is. I mean, 94 yards in a 60-minute game is very, very difficult to do. And it's just, I get it. We ran 202,000 yards yesterday, but still, I mean, you know, just not enough. What do you guys think about Tannehill? Is it just me, or is there some concern starting to creep in?
It's definitely not you, but you know, it comes down to this. I mean, I'm a Tannehill supporter, and I've always said it, but I'm starting to lean towards you guys right now. The 94 yards was unacceptable yesterday. You got to be a leader. You have to step up. Thank God the run game was there, but I'm going back on it. Like I've said it before, Todd Downing, I'm telling you, has ruined this team so far, in my opinion. If you look at it, Derek Carr, when Todd Downing took over the Raiders, he had McFadden, he had Cooper. That offense was rolling. He took it over. Carr took a very steep decline that year. He took it over. And now you're seeing the same thing that happened with Ryan Tannehill. He was thriving with the play action. He was thriving with everything with Arthur Smith. Now you put Todd Downing in the offense, and he's crushing Tannehill right now. And I don't know what the answer is right now. I really don't. So it's very scary going down the stretch right now. I'm concerned right now. I mean, if we handled business, I said it yesterday, we would be 10-2 going into this bye right now. I'd definitely feel a lot more comfortable. But at 8-4 right now, with everybody 8-4 in the league, one slip up, this could be catastrophic for this team right now.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, I mean, I know I want to be hard on Tannehill like you guys are, and I am tough on him. He's not playing well, but I mean, the reason he threw for less than 100 yards yesterday is because we ran for over 200. Our game plan was to run. When we tried to throw, he was never in a rhythm because we were running the ball the whole game. But yeah, it's not looking good. A quarterback like this, who we thought so highly of these last few years, who has come in and been a top guy. I mean, let's not lie. Aside from this year, his numbers are through the fucking roof. But, you know, a new coordinator, new weapons, no Henry, changes all over the place. It's going to be hard for anyone to do well. But what separates the good quarterbacks, which he is a good quarterback, from the top tier guys, you know, what separates the 1A guys from the 1B guys, is when you're dealt these cards, you still find a way to pull some game out of your back pocket. Give me something. Make a fucking play on the ground. make a throw, take control of the offense. If Downing's not going to do it, then start fucking calling audibles. I don't know what you got to do, but you have to do something to find us a win in these last few games. So that's where my worry is. I think at full strength, he could be obviously much better. When I say full strength, I mean, the talent around him that he needs. But yeah, it is worrisome that if we're going to have to rely on this guy in January to win us a game, if we're not at full strength around him, it definitely concerns you. It has to at this point.
Yeah, I mean, whenever it comes to the Titans, I have to do my best at all times to be a realist. I don't like to be a follower just to say things that everyone else says. I stay true to myself when it comes to my feelings on this team. And I'm sorry, at this moment in time, I'm not going to be the guy that campaigns for him as a top 10. Arguably, I mean, I'm just going to be generous here and say not a top 10. He's not a top 10 quarterback. He's not. He just
for the first time since he's been our quarterback.
No, but no, because
I would have
took
Mets top 10 before this year, 100%.
Yeah, but
absolutely.
You gotta factor in, and this is important. The guy's played 4 playoff games as a Titan and has had a legitimate impact on one of those 4 games. He wasn't the difference in New England. He was part of the difference in Baltimore. That I will give you. In Kansas City, when they decided they were going to do anything and everything to shut Derrick Henry down, he didn't do a goddamn thing. Against Baltimore last year, I couldn't even tell you his stat line. I couldn't even tell you what he did because it was so unmemorable. Okay. These are the games that matter most. And now we're seeing him regress so much to the fact that like he's losing against the worst team in the league, having his worst game of his career against the worst team in the league. And he's throwing under 100 yards. And he again, another thing I alluded to on Twitter today, he doesn't step up in the pocket ever. All right. We just got rid of a guy because he didn't do that, essentially. And we're dealing with it again. And I watched that film again. Okay. It's not like he was getting a fraction of a second. He had enough time yesterday. The offensive line played well enough. Obviously, they did pretty well in the run blocking game. And he just sits there. And it's just, it's coming. He doesn't look to his left, doesn't look to his right ever. He's just a deer in headlights. And that's why he gets fucking plowed every week. And he's the top sacked quarterback in the league now. So, again, I don't want to go on a tangent here, but I mean, enough's enough now. We need him to back us up because we've fucking stood at the top of the hallway and cheered for him and taken his back as often as we can. And we're not getting anything in return now. All those people that said these things for years are now looking like geniuses. So, let's see what he does when the brigade comes back, hopefully sooner than later, but I'm really worried. I don't know. I really don't know now if he can win a Super Bowl. I don't know. Because you're gonna face the best of the best in the Super Bowl. And if we get Henry back, he's not gonna have 180 yards rushing in the Super Bowl. That's very unlikely. And he's gonna have to do something else. And I don't know if he can. And that's just the way it is. I hate to say it, but I don't know if he can. So
yeah, well, nobody knows if he can right now. And I hear you, but I'm not getting ready to crucify the guy. The reason why his stats weren't that great in the playoffs is, let's face it, we were letting Henry touch the ball 30 times. He wasn't asked to do much. And when you're not asked to do much, it's hard to get in a rhythm. So I understand his playoff. You can also say, well, yeah, his playoff record is also what? 2-1, 2-2, 2-2. So, I'm not overly concerned about that, but I think it's what everyone, what I alluded to before, and you reiterated it just now, is that we need him to dig deep down into his fucking soul and sack up and win us a fucking game, which he had. I want to see the Tannehill that was diving in the fucking piles his first start against Kansas City when nobody in the world had thought we had a shot to win that game. And we made a crazy comeback and he fucking dove into the end zone and broke the fucking, broke those tackles for that. What was it? The 2-point conversion.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to see that. I want to see show some fucking balls and win us over because I agree. It is worrisome. So,
It is worrisome because yesterday we went to that game even in the first half, you're sitting on your couch. You're like, holy shit, we can really do this. We were running up and down the field with them. We had 2 times we fumbled the ball inside our own 40, a missed extra point, a missed field goal, and then that debacle that I wanted to throw everything at the TV and just go nuts. First and goal, and you could be up 20-19 right there, and that's a momentum swing right there. So I mean, this team is very close, but he is holding us back 100%.
Yeah, and it doesn't help anyone's case right now that we're not only losing all these guys, but we're also just beating ourselves.
Yeah, last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, this again, I want to reiterate to everyone. Yesterday was if I had 15% confidence we were going to win the game at 10 o'clock in the morning yesterday, at halftime, I had like 60% confidence they're going to. I mean, that game was ours to win. For Christ's sake, we were getting 10 yards of rush. I mean, those fumbles, the fumbles and the missed field goal, that's the game right there. So we can, if we want to put this game in a vacuum, we can realistically put it on the hands of Hilliard, Foreman, and Bullock, even though they had an integral part of the statistical sheet, at least the two running backs. That was the game-changing plays of the game.
100%.
Yeah.
At worst, that's 17 points off the board right there.
Yeah.
The first and goal, and then the 2 inside the 40. If you kick a field goal, so that's 13, and then
But there's no excusing the pass in the third quarter when we're down 5.
You don't do that.
Yeah, that was bad.
You're running right down their throat.
That was bad.
If you're going to be stupid,
Tannehill.
Yeah, if you're going to be stupid enough to pass on first down, which is so dumb, okay, you got to run on second down. I mean, that kept me up for a good hour in bed last night.
Did they really run
it was
throw on first down?
No.
Pass.
I think they passed on second down.
They ran, and then this dumbass call on second down.
Yeah, it was a second down.
On fourth down. They ran on first. They got down to the 1 or the 2. Second down, they ran that fucking bunch formation, Tannehill to the right, all cluttered as fuck. Didn't get it. Third down, got stuffed or got down to the 1. And then fourth down, ran the same play.
Now, I'm not even, just real quick, I'm not even talking about the goal line stand. I'm talking about a 3 and out in the third quarter when we might have been on the 40-yard line or whatever, our own 40. And we were down 5 at that point. And we threw 3 times. We threw 3 times. And this was right after the fumble. So it was just, Todd Downing is so he's in and out over his head. I mean, he just is.
Which leads me into this. How you talking about sitting as an offensive coordinator on a couch? How in your right mind can you be on the football field at 4th and 2 and you're going to roll out your quarterback short side and throw that ball? How do you bring the whole defense with you to that side of the field on fucking 4th and 2? That makes 0 sense. That's your play call?
Yeah. Not only that, who you throwing to? You know what I mean? Like, I understand you want to throw a fade to Julio, a fade to AJ, but and where's the I know Henry made this work a lot, but where's the Tannehill when he runs it himself and fakes it?
I was just going to say that.
I mean, like, that play
literally never always works.
That play always fucking works. The teams always fall for it because Tannehill can use his legs more than people think. And I know it's not as easy to run without Henry because not every team's biting on that fake with Foreman and Hillard.
But they had 200 yards at that time. I think they would have bit.
So I'm saying, so run that play. I mean, there's like you said, I think he's in a little over his head. There's a lack of creativity. I mean, our motto the last 2 years has been run it and do play action off the run. Now we can't do play action off the run because we don't have, up until yesterday, a solid run game. We're putting it all on Tannehill's shoulders. We don't have AJ. We don't have Julio. Our 3 tight ends. Let's not go on that fucking tangent right there.
We have no tight ends. It's plain and simple.
It's bad. It's really bad.
We have skinny offensive linemen that can occasionally catch.
They're nothing in this offense at all.
But I'm glad we got that 6th rounder that we kept instead of giving it to Philly because
ridiculous.
Zach Ertz he's doing nothing with Arizona. I can't believe they're even still have him on contract because he's been such a non-existence. That's obviously sarcasm. But anyway, I don't want to get like cringy and upset again about that. Let's dive into the heroes and villains of the game. there's a lot of options here on both sides, which I think it could give us an opportunity to all maybe pick somebody else. But Vin, you look like you got your thinking cap on. Why don't you start us off? I know there's a lot to choose from.
I think this may be the first multiple one.
Yeah,
and it's funny because earlier in the day, I was going to say I don't know who the fuck I'm going to pick for this part of the show, but I'll start off from a positive. Though we'll go the hero first. We'll go, even though he had the fumble, Hilliard stepped up last week, proved that he could carry the load. This week he stepped up big as well, had the huge touchdown, which was a momentum changer. He did have the fumble, but I mean, hey, I feel like going forward, we now know we can lean on him as well as Foreman. So I'll say Hilliard, and then the run game as a whole, obviously excluding the fumbles. And then I'm gonna say my zero has to be, I mean, Todd Downing, such an easy answer.
You could take him from me then.
Yeah, I could take him from you. Yeah,
you could take him.
I wouldn't allow that because we do players, but in this specific week, by all means,
you have to. I mean, yeah,
throw him
you can
in
go
there.
the coaching. You can go the coaching staff as a fucking whole. I mean, you could go Bullock, who's looking like his old self, but I'll go with Downing because he looks in over his head. He has no, creativity with this offense right now. He's failed to adjust. He's failed to put Ryan Tannehill in situations where he can succeed. Because Sal, like you said, when he's in the pocket, he looks flat-footed and he looks not confident. And that's because that's not his game. You need to get him outside the pocket. You need to get him using his legs, get him in a rhythm. He's not a standstill pocket quarterback. He never has been. So we're putting our team in a position to fail right now, especially offensively. So I'll put it on him.
Sure.
For me, since you're going with Hilliard, I obviously got to go with Foreman. We said last week we wanted to see someone carry the load more than 15 times. Foreman got 19 carries for, I think, $103, or what was 130 or 103, whatever it was. So
Foreman at 109.
109.
I started him in one of my leagues.
I mean, he stepped up well, minus the fumble, which was gut wrenching, but you know what? It's definitely proven that these two can carry the workload for us. But for me, since you took my guy in Downing, since I hated him all year, I'm gonna go with Janoris Jenkins, so he can scratch my ass with the jackrabbit, because he is just god awful and he needs to be cut. I don't care who plays at this point at cornerback. I would have took the guy that was selling beer in section 322 yesterday, because I can't stand it. He can't tackle, he can't cover. So we got to find something right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm as low on Jenkins as you guys are. I think for all of the has-been corners that we've brought in, I think he's probably been the most consistent. And that's not necessarily like an ultimate positive. It's just like, I don't feel like he's a guy that week in and week out, we're like, oh, there goes Jackrabbit getting burned again. He hasn't been great, but anyway, my villain would probably be, based off what you two said, would be Bullock. But I'm gonna give two names, because that's just, if this guy's not mentioned, that's a travesty. So Randy Bullock, you've been really great for us lately, but you absolutely just killed all momentum yesterday with the missed extra point and the missed field goal. You just got to be better than that. I think it was inside of 40. It was like 41. Very manageable. Got to make that kick. Wind was barely even in the equation. And then again, Tannehill not doing enough. I'm sorry. It's not like these guys aren't catching. He still managed to get a reception to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 players. Okay. If you can get a reception to 9 players and you can't equate to more than 94 yards, that's a you problem. That is not a they problem. That's a you problem. So again, I'm not giving up. I'm not holding up the white towel, but you need to do more, my friend, because this ain't enough. And even when you had AJ there, whatever percentage healthy was, still wasn't doing enough. So those would be my two downs. Up, I'd have to go again. I can't mention anyone in the receiving category because nobody had more than 25 yards. I guess, Hollister, he had 2 catches that were strong, good catches, good to see from him. But again, I got to go with Hilliard. Foreman's fumble was so bad. Like, it was so
Yeah.
bad that I couldn't even put him in there with 109 yards, because it was just like he thought he was Chris Johnson and he was about to start doing a high step. And there's 4 guys closing in on him at the speed of light. And he's just holding that ball out. And I had a gut feeling as he's running. I'm like, I don't like this. I don't like where this is headed, the way he's running. But anyway, Hilliard stepped up in a major way. I'm going to feel real confident going to Jacksonville with our running game, because I think they're starting to get their feet wet. They're learning the system. They're getting practices under their belt. And Hilliard's got pop, man. He's got a lot of pop. So McNichols in a situation at some point, maybe catching the ball. We can manage. We could definitely manage. But that would be the number one. So let's go into this to finish up, because we're going to have a little vacation, because this long-awaited bye week is arriving. What would you like to see? I mean, obviously getting the players that are hurt back is ideal. But let's say, because I actually pulled up this, somebody put up a tweet about when people were going to be able to return. And I happened to take a picture of it. So I figured I'd just rattle off the names. So we have Julio and Crookshank. If ready, will be available by Jacksonville, which is, if you don't have Julio back, I mean, really, I got to fucking bite my nails against Jacksonville. Give me a fucking break. At home, come on. So they need to be back. Julio has to be back. And then Bud Dupree for the homecoming to Pittsburgh would be awesome. He's going to have a little extra juice in the tank. And then you got AJ, Chris Jackson back for Thursday night, hopefully. And then everyone else, you don't know when Long's back. You don't know when Maben, McNichols. They're all not on the IR, but they're out right now. So let's just say getting back to the home from the bye week for the Jacksonville, we get Julio, Crookshank back, and McNichols and David Long and Evans. Where do you want to see the focus point at practice moving forward to try to get back into the swing of winning as we were used to for a full month? Vin?
Just have a fucking game plan. Run the ball, take care of business, get Tannehill out of the pocket, let him roll out, do some play action, especially now that we got some run game going on. I want to see Golden Tate out there against Jacksonville. And if we lose to Jacksonville, it's over. It's over. So take care of fucking business. I believe we are well coached enough. We have the talent. If Julio comes back, great. But I don't give a fuck who's on that field. You have to take care of business in Jacksonville, against Jacksonville at home, handily. No fucking bullshit. I'm talking like do what we did to KC type thing. 30-3. Fucking put your fucking foot on their throat and get our fucking mojo back, because we have to play San Francisco and Pittsburgh, I think, the 2 weeks after that. So those aren't going to be easy wins. And thank God for the Buccaneers yesterday, because Sal, you said it, the fucking Colts are starting to scare you. If Wentz wasn't so typical Wentz at certain points, I mean, they could be fucking lethal. I mean, this run game is crazy. Their defense is solid. They're extremely well coached. And if they get in the playoffs, they're going to be a tough out for anyone. But, I mean, thank God for Tampa, because if we were only one game up with 6 games left.
This 2 weeks would have been a nightmare.
I can't handle that.
Oh, and guess who the Colts play next week? The Texans. So that should be. That would, if they held on to beat the Buccaneers, I would have been, I don't know. I don't even want to think about it. But moving on, Jarrett.
I don't know. I coming into this, I was going to ask you guys the same thing. What position or what group you guys want to see improved after the bye week? I'm going to have to say the offensive line. Hopefully they get back in rhythm, show protection, some strides in the pass game, the run game, and then going back on the defensive side, just get everybody healthy. And, get the pressure back to where we were in LA. And then hopefully everything turns well, because down the stretch right now, I'm 50-50 right now with the season. And that's very tough to say for me, because everybody that knows me, I live and die by the two-tone blue. And right now, with all these injuries, is scaring the living hell out of me.
Listen, I mean, you could even make the argument that with all our players, we're just shooting ourselves in the foot. Like, it's just like, the defense was knocking your socks off for 3-4 weeks, but they really haven't been doing that anymore. And they're honestly the healthier of the two groups, right? Or the three, technically, with special teams. Another thing, quickly, special teams is disaster. It's terrible. Awful. Last 2 weeks, we're letting the fucking team start to 40 every
100%.
fucking play.
That's just guys not playing football coming off the couch too, and it's tough.
Listen, I mean, Bullet,
It's no excuse.
Get the fucking ball out of the end zone. They kick it from the 50 practically. Get it out of the end zone. All right. I know you're 60 years old, but kick it out of the fucking end zone. How hard is it? Anyway, yeah, I need to see the receiving group just do better. I don't know if it's the route running, but we gotta. I know there's some blame to put on the receivers because they're not elite at any level, and I'm sure they're not, blowing anyone away with the route running. But we got to get Golden Tate in there. We got to get him some reps. He's going to help. But I'd like to see more of the receiving group, and obviously health is part of it. But I want to see them just be more creative with their routes and whatever. And I know it's not up to them, but we got to get an aerial attack going here. We have to. We haven't had it all year. We've had no exciting passing game whatsoever. So, with the exception of maybe Seattle, which is mostly Julio. So let's do that. Listen, if we want the bye, which I don't think it's off the table. It's much more difficult now. You only got one loss left if you want the bye. Okay, should be Jacksonville. I'd like to say we should have one of Pittsburgh or San Fran. One of those two should beat.
Agreed.
And then you got to beat Miami and Houston. And then I think we could still get the bye week. Now, my dad doesn't think we should want the bye week because he thinks this is going to be better for the team to get games under their belt. I disagree. I disagree. And the statistics show, regardless of what the team is, you get the bye week, you got like a 60 to 70% chance of making the Super Bowl. So I want that, especially with the greatest player on earth being hurt.
And health, yep.
Yeah, and you want to get him as rested as possible. So you got one loss left. Now, whatever loss that might be.
I want the bye week too, but you gotta. There's. I know that, not to say there's bigger issues at hand, but there is. I mean, we look abysmal right now. So even if we pull this bye week out of our ass, I mean, we got to get in a fucking groove, and whether that means, we have to play the wild card round, and so fucking be it. But more than the bye week, I want to see us get in a fucking groove and get that mojo back.
Yeah. I agree. It's just a matter of when health is the major focal point of why you're struggling for an entire season. Then
we used 86 players in 12 weeks, where the record was 84 in 16 games.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I want to bring this up too. Speaking of that, I know people joked about it, but is there something wrong with our strength and conditioning staff, our training staff, our doctors, our trainers? I mean, I'm not going to say it's all bad luck because, I mean, the shit's starting to become a pattern. I understand injuries happen. It's football, but I mean, are we doing something that other teams, we aren't doing something that other teams are in regards to this? Because it's becoming a fucking joke.
Vrabel touched on it in his press conference today, but the thing is with me, I was going to bring this up to you guys, but Vrabel sits these guys at practice. The hammies get tight. I get the days off, but like none of these guys have been healthy all year. AJ Brown, Julio Jones, these hamstrings get tight, and now we're getting to the colder months. It's scaring the hell out of me, man. It's scaring the hell out of me to where we are right now. Hammies get tight in the cold.
I just I can't really believe these guys are professionals. Every sport has a professional trainer who knows what they're doing, went to school for it. I can't imagine that they're doing anything that would be detrimental to the health of these football players. I think it's just the ultimate bad luck. I mean, I said a lot of the similar things with the Yankees over the past 3-4 years, because they've just been hurt year after year after year. And it's like, who do you point to? But I think it's just some sort of ironic.
Yeah, maybe it is bad luck. I don't know, but it's not. It's to the point where you have to raise the fucking question.
Yeah, no, you can raise a question. Yeah,
because I know they're professional trainers and whatnot, but out of 32 teams, there's probably teams that are really good training wise with their diet, their nutrition, their sleep, their whatever the fuck, and there's teams who probably aren't as stringent on it. So, I mean, maybe we're one of those teams who's a little lax in that. in that area. I don't fucking know, but maybe I'm looking for other people to blame. But I mean, it's got to be like, I mean, come on. I mean, every week it's something.
Listen, there might be people out there that have methods that are better and, give you better results. And there's always people that are smarter in their field than others. That's for sure.
Of course.
But I don't know things are getting bad when you're looking at
you're playing
the blame
fucking
the
train.
the
Hey,
guy.
but I know you said things are getting bad. Not to cut you off, we are 8-4. If you want to look at a silver lining, we're 8-4 heading into the bye week. If you looked at this schedule at the beginning of the season, I thought maybe we would have been 8-4 or 9-3. But the teams that we lost to, I would have chalked them as wins, and some of the teams that we beat, I would have chalked them as losses. So
everything's
story
ass
of our
backwards
lives with this fucking team. But we're 8-4. We're going into the bye week. We have a chance to get healthy. The schedule is pretty light the rest of the way, so let's bring a little more optimism.
Yeah, no, definitely. It really is going to all start with Julio. He's the first piece that needs to return, and we just got to build off of that. Because offensively, he's the only guy that would be available once we get back. So it's very important. We're going to use this time to just get our minds right and just try to alleviate the stress this team's brought to us over the past 2 weeks. And thank God we have a game that is on paper should be a good game for us. Now, obviously, we don't know because all we do this year is lose to teams that we should beat. But we did beat this team already pretty soundly, and we're going to be 2 weeks off. And I'm just saying I would be much more nervous if we were playing Pittsburgh this week coming off the bye rather than the Jaguars. So let's take care of business. We are about to wrap up. So before we go, fellas, anything you want to throw in the mix before we close out?
Take this bye to get healthy mentally and physically. Please, Lord, get this team healthy.
Yep.
Yeah, whoever it is that everyone prays to out there, pray to them because we fucking need anything we can get at this point. Like I said, I think not only the players but the fan base needed a break from this team as well. This team is like a toxic relationship. When it's going good, it's great, but when it's ugly, and it's week to fucking week. And sometimes it's too much to deal with. So sometimes you need that little break, and we're getting it.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
We are getting it.
Yes.
And, obviously, relationship-wise, we would consider this being on a break. This is where we are right now. We are on a break. And
we'll always be back, but sometimes you just need a fucking break, man.
Yeah, we need a break. We got to take a trip down to Belmar and clear our heads and just go from there. So, all right, we're going to wrap up. We'll see in a couple weeks unless something tragic happens. Maybe the strength and conditioning coach dies in a helicopter crash, and we got to talk about
Jesus
it.
Christ.
We don't want that. We don't want that. Let's move on and let's get healthy. That's all boils down to it. So, let's get out of here, fellas. And as always, tighten up.
Let's tighten up.
Tighten up and work on those fumble drills, please. Foreman and Hilliard, work on them. Peace.